Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and video show which brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, and experience of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Frits Bussemaker, and today I'm pleased to have a conversation with Mark Schuurman. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mark, allow me to briefly introduce you to our audience. You are the co-founder of 3x3 Unites, co-founder of Guts. You have a background with the Dutch Basketball Federation, and as already alluded, we're going to talk a lot about basketball and what it does. So again, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Fitz.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
And so where to start? Let's start with your own career. You started with, as mentioned, you worked for the Dutch Basketball Federation. How did that happen?
Yeah, so if I really go back in time, basketball was done by my mother, and it was within her belly. I think I was bouncing up and down, and when I came out, I was visiting all her games and was going to matches, and then I was really having fun with the basketball in my hands and watching her games, and in the timeout, ran to the court and had some fun there. And in the age of 8, I started to play basketball myself. And I could play matches after I did my swimming and my gymnastics in the basics.
Yeah.
And then I played like really intensively 10 years. That was also the period, of course, where I grew as a person physically, in the other ways as well, but mostly physically. But I also hurted my knees in that time because I thought I'm not that tall, and I wanted to dunk the ball, and I wanted to be tall or whatever, and I ruined a little bit my knees. I also did in the same time the Applied Science College of becoming a PE teacher.
Yeah.
Just because I loved sports. I played basketball, I did some ultimate frisbee, and I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I wanted to do something with sports. So I started this. I did that 4 years, and in my final year, I did a final internship in Zimbabwe, just to see a little bit another part of the world, live in the suburbs, work in the suburbs, and do a specialization in developing resource centers. And my specialization within the School of PE was sports management. And I finished that. I did sports management bachelor up in Groningen, where I did a PE applied sciences in Amsterdam. And I worked there for 3 years, also in the basketball club Donar. And I already knew that I loved to start to work in basketball or in sports in general. And I was volunteering within the federation as a team manager of one of the youth teams, national teams. And I always had the idea things could have been done better within organizations and the federation. And then there was an opportunity, and I started there. When I was a young professional, after 3 years of working experience in the professional club of Groningen, where I did some commercial management, but also started our own youth academy, where we really wanted to give the youth the opportunity to grow as players and human beings, besides doing something in school. And that is in the Netherlands, it's quite regular to do that in soccer. So we have professional soccer clubs, but you also have professional youth academies in soccer. But for basketball, that was not the case, and we don't have the system, for instance, how they have that in the States, where you have a college system, a high school system, where it's more integrated into schools. So we started it ourselves in the Netherlands back in the days with the youth academy combined and the professional club. And then I transferred to the federation, and within the federation, like I said, I was a young professional. I was focusing the first part of my career there on the grassroots level, and really the diversity and the power of basketball, and how can we unite people, and how can we empower the ones who are in the different neighborhoods who maybe have a harder time in life, or have a different network than some other people, or have less opportunities. And the second part within the federation of my career, I was focusing solely on performance sports and the national teams, and developing the programs towards as best as we could do in the world. And there it started with 5-on-5, of course, and then 3x3 was integrated already in my work back then. And I finished, I think, 2014 within the federation. So that's already a long time ago, but that was the first one.
Okay. There's already a lot to pick up from that story, but let me first continue where you are today, because then I have a couple of questions for you to follow on what you just shared with us. So, okay, I would say not a I would say a classic career in sports management, if I what I'm hearing you say, but then what happened?
Yeah, so it was really I've always been hands-on and trying to make a change, trying to make an impactful change. If I look back now, it's always on the boundary of empowering people and empowering youngsters, and especially in the age, I think between 16 and 24, there's a big development stage of being more independent, knowing what your strengths are, maybe what your weaknesses are, what are your dreams and ambitions. And I always like the fact that um, for me, I think I live by the motto there's no mountain too high, no river too deep. It's just like if you have something in mind, you can do it. And of course, maybe you cannot do it over day, but it can happen. And we already did it as human beings that we changed the world, of course, in our favor to over other species. But I think we are showing every day that we can do great things. And I think it's really bad if young people listen their whole life until the age of 18, for instance, what they're not good at, and that they're a little bit pushed into the ground. Hard to say it like this, but that they really are not so secure about themselves. So I
Mhm.
really would love that people are secure about themselves and that they open up happily towards the future instead of being.
I mean, you actually talk about that quite a lot. Also, what I've prepared before this. What drives you to have that focus for the underprivileged? Is there a trigger? Is it a slow awareness, an epiphany? How did that happen?
I think it's really in my DNA of want to be autonomous. I think that's a good word that I would love. I really love my freedom, so I'm really happy that I can be born and raised in the Netherlands, where people can speak out freely, but they can also go directly to the target. We as Dutchies are really like, if we want to go A to B, we go straight, and we
True.
don't
Yeah.
go all around, and we don't sometimes think that much or are politically correct. We just want to make it happen. And I wish that everybody has the opportunity, at least if they want to do it. And from that, of course, probably I'm being held back at many moments in my life where people told me I couldn't do things, or that it was I was too young to do things or whatever. So I didn't want to show up, but it's more like an intrinsic feeling where I think, yeah, let's be free in life and let everybody be free and just try to do the best, because you can also do bad, of course, if you if you want to be free.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. We are here on Earth and on the planet to have a happy life, and I wish everybody a happy life. So then hopefully we can find a way how we can do it. And of course, the world shows that it's really hard to do it with all of us. But in local communities, I think we don't have to fight or have wars. We can just live in the neighborhoods and make the best out of it all together.
I was triggered by your comment. I have to ask you, are you a stubborn person?
I think people tell me I'm a stubborn person. Um, yeah, I think for sure. If I
Stubborn in the sense that you demonstrate tenacity. If you hold on to something, you're not going to let go. And
Yeah,
weakness. Okay.
yeah, I'm really
Down with this.
not that it needs to be always resolved, but I love to make it happen. And one way or another, let's
Yeah.
make it happen. And it's also that I have an opinion about a lot of things,
Hmm.
and I can be really in that way also stubborn that I think it's really the truth. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's
Yeah.
not the truth of somebody else, or maybe sometimes when people show me the mirror or
Yeah.
uh, elaborate a little bit more, and then I will also say, okay, I thought it was the truth, but it is not really
Okay.
the truth.
Good.
So for
Yeah. Yeah.
sure, I'm stubborn in a way.
Good. Now let's move on to 3 times 3, or how would you pronounce it?
3x3,
Three
yeah,
x three. Oh, good.
because 3 times 3
Yeah.
is like 9, but
Yeah.
it's correlated to sport, which
Yeah.
is of course,
Yes.
3x3 basketball.
Yeah.
For me, of course, and it's a street ball. I think a variant of basketball, where of course the regular basketball is played mostly indoors, 5-on-5, with
Yeah.
a bit the biggest entertainment industry known like the NBA and the big promoter of basketball, of course. And then there was always the street basketball on the courts already everywhere in the world, I think. And then they have different variants to play. You can play 1-on-1, you can play 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. But then at a certain moment, the International Federation, FIBA, they said we would love to create a new discipline, and hopefully it will develop in a way that it will commit other communities who are already out there to the sport of basketball, but also maybe we can create a whole new discipline where, of course, the Olympics is the biggest goal
Yeah.
for a federation to be part of. And I think they saw the examples of beach volleyball within volleyball. They saw maybe rugby sevens transforming from rugby 15s to sevens. And like there was a different need of the new generations to be attracted to basketball as a whole, and that's where it started, I think. And sometimes in the past there were already 3-on-3 or 3 versus 3, and then FIBA said no, we want to claim 3x3 and want to put our shoulders under it and really develop it as a new discipline and opportunity to grow the sport as a whole.
Okay, so that's the objective of FIBA. What is what has been your role so far in that endeavor?
Yeah, so when I did the final year in the federation, I did some 3x3 as well. And one of the things I did, I was sending a message on the website because we had a wild card to go with our men's team to the World Cup in Moscow at the time. And then there were no players really around because everybody was in season. And we just made a application for players and said, do you want to play for the national team, or do you want to come in the selection, come and join us on this and this court outside, because
Yeah.
we really wanted to make it in the street ball vibe. We will practice and we will select a team to go to the World Cup. And then one of these players was Jesper Jobsen. And Jesper was a former 5-on-5 professional. He just transferred to one lower level to play indoors, and his professional career was kind of over in that way. But he really thought that was a challenge to maybe wear the orange jersey.
Yeah.
Because on 5-on-5, it never happened for him on that level. But on 3x3, maybe he got the opportunity. And then 6 weeks later, he was in the World Cup. And then we met, of course, also in this period as persons. And then in the World Cup, we were both caught by the fact that it's such a pure sport, because in 3x3, you're not allowed to be coached by a coach. So you need to take care of the tactics and the substitutions, timeouts, etc., by yourself as a team. So you have 3 players on the court. One is the substitution, and then you think about the tactics yourself, but you also you win and you lose, of course, as a team, and you play multiple games because it's a shorter variant of the game. And then we thought like, oh, this is so empowering for players. Besides the fact that we saw a lot of repression and in a certain way some kind of misuse of the human capital, which were always on the court, the players, because they couldn't decide who are playing. That the coach decides, of course, and that's the role of the coach. And then we thought this is so empowering. This is the pure basketball where what we love. We love basketball, but we didn't really love the fact anymore that people were not always collaborating or were not putting people in their strengths, and sometimes pushing them aside or selecting them out, despite the fact that maybe this person could be a great player for a team, but then the coach couldn't match it or whatever. So that's where we started. Jesper also being one of the as a founder, but also a teacher. So he's educated also in a didactical way. And then we thought, hey, can we do something with this? He started his own professional team, Team Amsterdam, and then he learned a lot of life skills on the court, which he used outside. And I saw a lot of life skills being learned because of being self-employed at that time, both of us, which we could also use on the court. So we said, can we create a leadership program? We call it now the 3x3 Leader Course, where people can learn these life skills just by using 3x3 basketball as a tool for development, and from there show their themselves on the court, but also what are their strengths maybe off the court, because you can be a player on the court, but you can be a photographer off the court, for instance, and both can be of value.
Yeah.
And that's why we started this new organization, 3x3 Unites, where within the federation, I had a project which called Basketball Unite, and we always wanted to work together. And then this was a logical thing for us to start 3x3 and really the name of Unites in it. And below me or behind me, you see Win Together. This is one of the slogans we have, that we really believe if we can find the collaboration with others, that we are winning together, and that the sum of parts is bigger, of course, than the whole. And it also reminds us that we need to put effort in it, and that the door is always open for everybody who wants to collaborate and use the power of 3x3. And we really focus on developing youngsters from the streets towards the top. And it doesn't have to be as a player, could be as a player, but we are mostly focusing on the human being, how to develop yourself from a certain level towards the top, where you want to be. And we are creating a business where it is sustainable and where everybody who is putting their effort in it is being paid. So there's always room for voluntary hours, but everybody who is being a role model in their neighborhood or being the photographer on the event, they are being paid, so that we know that we are creating a sustainable business model, despite the fact that you can do extra hours, of course, in your community or whatever, but there's always a base for income and paying the bills you need to pay, and creating new jobs.
Yeah, because to make that clear to the audience, you now also set up 3x3 courts around the country.
Yeah.
Where people can just play basketball if they want, and also contribute to, you could say, having it grow. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what we really, there's of course already in every country, I think, a lot of examples of outdoor hoops.
Yeah.
So the good thing with basketball is, of course, it's already out there, and sometimes the hoop is really safe and in a proper way maintained, and a lot of times it's there maybe for many years, but not so maintained, and sometimes it's even with a bad surface or with an unsafe surrounding or whatever. And what we really believe in is that to create a safe space, you also need to create a safe community. And it always starts for us with the youngsters, because we think that the youngsters, they are attracted to the sports, but they are also the ones who can attract other youngsters better than me. I feel really young, but I'm turning grayer and grayer and older and older. The youngsters, they don't see me as a youngster, of course. And I really believe that the more locally we can organize these communities, the stronger it is, because then we know that if local youngsters between the age of 17, 24 are the role models of their city and or their court or their part of the city, then they will not only be there in the activities which we lead, and of course, if it's in public area, and that's what it is in the Netherlands, all the outdoor courts are public areas, so everybody can join whatever they want. If we are there for 10 hours a week or 2 hours a week, then all the other hours, it could still be the same role models who are playing there and who still have the same eyes and ears to address things to the municipality, to maybe safety measurements or whatever, and see also what is the need, how the court not only can be a playground, but can also be a safe place to unite and to empower others. And that's, I think, where we try to build a court in a secondary phase, that when the software or the orgware, we call it, is developed, and we have a certain base of a program, that we also want to celebrate that this community is there, and that we want to give them some kind of a present, like an upgrade of the court or a new court or a roofed court or whatever. And then it also feels that it is, of course, because of their input or their efforts they put in society as well. And what we see now, after almost being there for 10 years, is that it's always a local ecosystem which we are creating with the software, orgware, and hardware. It's being funded by public and private funding and the combination of it. So sometimes there's grants from the city, but sometimes it's also grants of bigger sponsors, or it's a sponsorship deal, or it's another partnership deal. And because we multi-finance it in a way, we can always develop a local ecosystem, maybe in a bigger ecosystem or regional ecosystem, and they're all part of the bigger community we have as Unites in the Netherlands and even abroad. We educated leaders to become the role models, and they will come up with the craziest and the best ideas ever, and then we only try to facilitate them. How can it fit in the ecosystem? So some youngsters, they created these sweaters or merchandise, and they just thought it's nice that we have our own sweaters as well, so that we can be recognizable, for instance. And then somebody said, I would love to design this merchandise because I love clothing and I love to create my brand in the future. So can I try it? And I think that's where all these young talents have a place within our community. If it's not only about this, it can be automation, it can be about Marcom things, or being a photographer, videographer, whatever. And it can also be part of bigger events which we organize. So
The way you describe it, it seems like everything fits together seamlessly. But to what extent does it also? What were the bumps on the road? Are there any hiccups?
yeah, for sure. It's always when you're developing something, there are many hiccups. Um, so I think the biggest bumps or hiccups you have when you start something is that you didn't prove it yet. So you need to convince people
Yeah.
that what you want to try is worth investing in, their time, their money, or both. And I think there we always see that if you want to do something new, there's a lot of skeptic people around it who always think that the glass is half full, and they think, yeah, we tried it so many times, or this will not work because you don't have the track record or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's about convincing the people to be on board. And if you cannot convince them, find another way, of course, to make it happen.
Do you have like a format or an approach to convince people?
I think what's most important, when we started, and which is true to the DNA of the sport as well, is that to keep it really real. So to be straight up, and be straight up about maybe the ideas you have, but maybe the doubts you have, and maybe um, the hiccups you encounter when you are starting it, or maybe the things which you fail at, and just be trustworthy to yourself that it is okay to make these mistakes, and also to share it, and just live up to the maximum you can do. So the best you can do is to put all your effort in it, the same as in sports, and
Yeah.
then the result will come as it come. And you don't have, and that's what I like about performance sports. It's also you put in what you can do, and then you have an opponent, and they decide if you're number one, two, or three, or maybe you're last. But
Yeah.
if there are no opponents, you always first, of course. And if you're not trained at all, then you will always be last. But you just have to put your effort in, and we try to live up to every agreement, of course, what we make, and stick to it. But that's quite sometimes a challenge, because sometimes you overpromise and you don't even thought about you were overpromising because you thought it will be happening, and then you just have to be in time by just telling and explaining to people that maybe you did overpromise, or you did maybe something wrong, or you made a mistake, and then by just keeping it real, I think that's most importantly, because it gains trust. And I think what's really unique about our organization, our community, is that everybody who is part of this organization is intrinsically motivated. And I think that's also when people meet us as founders, but also everybody within our team, and our team is now like 40 professional people in the team, and like 400 youngsters with a side job in the country. Everybody is intrinsically motivated to make a change and to work together and to unite and to use 3x3 as a tool for development.
Yeah. Now, what I'm hearing you say is it originated 3x3 is okay. We want to have a new form of basketball. I'm also now hearing you say okay, we talk about helping people, youngsters with developing life skills.
Yeah.
So, how does the FIBA look at what you're doing?
The best is to ask FIBA because FIBA is also an organization with many people, of course, but I think they really admire what we are doing. I think FIBA is, of course, there, first of all, for the organized basketball players in the federation. I think with
Yeah,
3x3, they show that they are capable of doing things also differently. So within the department of 3x3, they work together, of course, with their members and the federation, but they're also open to directly work with promoters.
yeah,
And we are one of the promoters of their events in the World Tour and the Women's Series, which is the Champions League or the highest level of 3x3 basketball events. And I can say that for sure, I know that besides having a lot of other promoters in the world, there's not an organization who does the promotion of big events and does have an NGO or foundation who makes social impact with it and really use 3x3 as we see it as the full potential of its powers. So I think they cherish it, they like it, but FIBA is also um, they have like different pillars, and of course within the system, the one pillar is focusing on big events, and they don't want to make a social change. Okay, they want to do it, but they only look top down. And
yeah.
in the other hand, they have the FIBA Foundation. The FIBA Foundation really goes from the ground up, and they are different pillars, and they are not in one team; they're in one organization. So it really depends who we talk to with FIBA. But I think that we have a great partnership with them, and we try to support each other wherever we can. But it's not that they always understand, I think, what we do and how we do it, or that we really want to do it from the intrinsic motivation of people, and that there's a strength in doing it bottom up. And of course, still on the top, you can show the whole world what kind of great things you can do, and be a top tier also in this part.
Got that. Um, how do you find, how do you define success in what you do? How does it look like?
Yeah, I think we're defining it now more and more throughout different outcomes. We created a theory of change, and within the theory of change, we focus in the end of creating impact. And then, of course, the question will be what kind of impact you want to create. We want to create a sustainable impact. So the more lives we can change for the better it is. And then, of course, you can change lives with maybe inspiring them with one big event at one day, but you can also, and sometimes more sustainable, change lives if they get the life skills and the opportunities in life towards a longer period within our ecosystem and our organization.
Mhm.
Um, and from this theory of change, we created an impact strategy where we are really measuring the development of youngsters and that we can prove what kind of fields they are developing within our programs. We always start at the ground with a leader course. From the leader course, they can develop themselves within the Unites 3x3 Unites Academy. They can maybe focus on mental health or being a videographer or being event organizer, wherever they want to develop themselves. And then we also want to create jobs, and it starts with the side jobs. Then, of course, we have a certain amount of jobs in the development of our team. Like 60% of the people in our daily team, they are being recruited or being developed from the leadership programs. So I think that's a nice score. But in the end, if we educate like this year, we aiming for 715 leaders, youngsters to become a leader, then we don't maybe have for all of them a job. And if they are 5 years in the program, maybe they have a different need
Yeah.
of being in a job. So now we saw that there was a different need for youngsters, but there's also A big compliment to all our partners who really love to invest their knowledge and their money within what we are doing. And they also said it should be so nice, the same as you're doing it, that some of these leaders are going to be our employees in the future. And then we said, hey, there's a need from youngsters to
Yeah,
come to sustainable jobs. There's a need from partners to find new talent, or at least talent who commits. How can we make this possible? And now we created a plan where we want to score or make a match for 1,000 sustainable full-time jobs instead of creating side jobs, but really in the future, hopefully at a certain moment, I hope I still live, but otherwise it doesn't matter if I continue, if I die, like a cathedral builder. Sometimes you have something in mind, but you cannot see the final version of it. But we want to create jobs, and I always said within our organization, we need to keep on focusing what are the needs of this community and these persons.
yeah.
And
Yeah, Marcus, I very much like your definition of success you're sharing with us, but I have to go back 2 years ago. I have to go back to Paris. I'm not wearing the
yeah,
picture for nothing.
yeah.
What's the link? What happened in Paris and 3x3?
So for the Netherlands, of course, it was amazing because we became with the men's Olympic champion. It was the second appearance of 3x3 within the Olympics. First, it was Tokyo 2020, 2021. Of course, that was the games without any spectators. So there was a big stadium. 3x3 was being shown the first time to the world. There was a lot of audience online and they saw it in the broadcast. There was a lot of attraction to the sport. But then it was the first time in Paris, of course, that it was with spectators. Then we had this team, the Netherlands, of course, where the team Amsterdam developed over the years. Some more professional players on 5-on-5 swapped years before towards 3x3. And we played in Paris. The first two games, I think the Dutch, they lost in the pool phase. Jesper and I were in Paris. Jesper talked to the radio and he said, I believe that the Netherlands can be Olympic champion. And then people from the radio said, "Yeah, but how can it happen? You know, they are losing and it's not going well." And then we said, like, "Yeah, but we know who are the opponents, we know the format, and we know if it clicks, it can click. But of course, they are more competitors, so it's not a walk in the park. And it wasn't that before that we were world champion in any way or something." Um, and then they started to grow as a team. They had overcome these defeats, and they found a way how to collaborate even better with each other. And then in the final, we played it, of course, in Paris against the French. Then there was the time exceeded; it was equal, and then there was the overtime. And in the overtime in 3x3, you need to score 2 points, and then you win. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. And a two-pointer is like behind the arc of normally the three-point arc, as we know it in regular basketball. And then there was first a shot of Wurty de Jong, who is, coincidentally or not, he is being born and raised at the place where we started in 10 years ago in the Bijlmer in Amsterdam Southeast. And he shot the ball and he missed it by inches. Then the French took over. They scored not the two-pointer because he tried to score the final shot immediately. They scored the one-pointer and then he got the ball again and then he made an amazing shot from the right side of the court and it was in. And suddenly everybody was amazed, including him. He thought it was not real, but
Yeah,
he made a Dutch Olympic champion. I think what we experienced, of course, as a country is that we felt that we could do it in a way to become the best. Jesper was 2 times in his career silver medalist in the World Championship, so we were close. Then Serbia was always the Angstgegner and the
mhm.
winner in those tournaments. And now he shot it in. Of course, it was one of the highlights in the Netherlands of the Olympics. It was also the fact that Wurty de Jong as the player and the one who shot the ball in was the carrier of the flag of the opening ceremony. So 3x3 and he was already a little bit introduced by the Olympic Committee. Of course, it was his shot, but it was also the other three players, Di Meo, Jan, and Arvin, who contributed a hell of a job in that team. And pave the way for him to make this shot or to get the rebound or any kind of hustle they need to make. So it was a real team effort, and I think they changed history, of course. And then we were in Paris celebrating that night, but we also found out, of course, that we had already built up our organization and this ecosystem, and we knew that if people wanted to do things within 3x3, the collaboration between us and the federation will be found. And all the journalists, they found us as well. So when we woke up by the phone of 7:30 by all the journalists, they all wanted to make an interview with 3x3 players or people doing things or going to court or going to his area. And we just, together with colleagues back in Amsterdam, we just arranged that on the court in the Bijlmer, we made a schedule for every journalist to be there to make their interview or do whatever, and to get a lot of attention out of it. And then a few days later, the first thing Worthy said, I want to go to that court and I want to show the gold medal to all the youngsters from this area, because I want to show that you can look up to the stars, but you need to know for sure that you are a star by yourself and you can shine, and don't think differently. When he said I can do it, and also the area which in a way is underprivileged or is doesn't have the same chances maybe than other areas in the Netherlands, also made him the person he is and gave him also the opportunity to make this happen. So he and us, I think we really saw things clicking together. We created like an indoor dome next to his flat where he's being raised, coincidentally maybe or maybe not, before the Olympics. It was a project of 5 years, so we couldn't really map it out up front that it would happen like this. But the circle was really round, or the ball was round, and Worthy was just supporting what we are doing, and we were supporting him, of course, as a national hero now, and helping him wherever we can. And then the nice thing, I think, what happened as well, because the women were not there in Paris, they didn't qualify. In that year, they became world and European champion. So besides that golden ball of Worthy, I think they also deserve the same credits. Of course, it was not on Olympic stage, but it was on the world stage and the European stage. They also shown that we as a country can be really great in a big sport, because it's played with millions of competitors all over the world. And sometimes even former NBA or women NBA players or different professionals from different leagues. That where we are really a small country, we can excel in a sport like this if you really commit to it, and if you are a little stubborn, I think, or autonomous in a way, and that you can build your self-steering team as players. So it changed a lot here in the Netherlands as attention for the sport. Everybody knew it, even if they didn't knew the sports before. So that's good.
Mark, I think we can keep on talking for hours. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but it was such a pleasure to have you on the program. The brand called you, talking about your passion, 3x3, and what it not only gets you to become Olympic champion, but also, I think more important in your mind, helping the underprivileged to also find their place in society. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Frits. Happy to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.